Good afternoon and welcome to today's meeting of the Rural and Farming Executive Advisory Committee. Welcome also to those accessing the meeting via the live stream to YouTube. During the live broadcast, members and officers are asked to please ensure that mobile phones are placed in silent mode. Only audio for the microphones will be captured on the live stream, therefore please ensure they're switched on when speaking and switched off when you've finished speaking. Minutes will be produced in the usual way and a recording of the meeting will be available to view on YouTube until such time as the minutes are produced. The first item on today's agenda is the appointment of the chairman for the municipal year of 2025-26. Do I have a proposer, please? Councillor Foyce-Beard.
I'm proposing Councillor Tim Taylor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor French. Are there any other nominations? In the absence of any further nominations, it's therefore proposed that Councillor Tim Taylor is appointed as the chairman of the Rural and Farming Executive Advisory Committee for the municipal year 2025-26. Is that agreed? Thank you. I will now hand over the conduct of the meeting to the chairman.
Thank you very much for voting me back in again, and welcome to the meeting. So, please, I do sound very rough. I am rough, but it is not contagious. So, that is a promise. It is not contagious. So, I will begin with agenda item 2 and call upon member services to report any apologies for absence, please.
Good afternoon. We have apologies from Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Clark.
Thank you very much. And the next item on the agenda is the appointment of the Vice Chairman for the municipal year 2025-2026. I would like to nominate Councillor Jan French. Can I have a seconder, please? Do we have any other nominations? I think we can class that one, Jan, that you're stuck with the job again then.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I see no objections to the proposal to approve the minutes as a correct record of the meeting, so they are now agreed. So to item number 5 is report additional items for consideration which the chairman deems urgent by virtue of special circumstances to now be specified. I'm not aware of any. So that's on to item number 6 then. The declarations of interest. So I have already declared on my paperwork that I am the leader and the English chairman of Pro Farmers United. Is there any other declarations of interest, please, Lucy?
Thank you. I'm also a member of the group Pro Farmers United.
Thank you, Lucy. So I believe that's that one done. Now, my phone may ring in a minute, guys, if we've got the people outside waiting to come and visit. So the recent motions on agenda item 7 related to the rural and farming matters. We've had a few. The last one that we put through was the religious slaughter motion, which the answer I got back from the Food Standards Agency on DEFRA was that they have got no intentions of changing the food labels whatsoever. Now, you may have seen very recently, i.e. last Monday, we'd actually got this in the House of Commons via another MP. There is some serious movement on that now. The other MP went for the complete ban on all non-stun slaughter, hoping that we would at least come out with a label change to say that all meat is now being labelled. There's a big head judge of the Supreme Court has actually picked it up, and he is now took that on to go full-blown gung-ho, complete outright ban on non-stun slaughter. So it's going a lot bigger than we anticipated. Councillor?
Just to clarify, so it's a complete ban, so it's not just the labelling?
No, he's going for a complete outright ban. Now, it's caused a lot of stir, but when we look at the 2030 WEF agenda, they have stated that farm animals will be reduced by 50% by 2030. And by 2050, there is to be 0 farm animals. And a lot of this is worldwide, this isn't just UK. This is Bill Gates throwing his weight about for man-made meat. So we've actually gone back to a lot of the religious communities through the Pro-Farmers group, stating that if you continue to support the people what you're supporting at the moment in government, what are you going to do from 2050 when you have got no meat? Your meat is all going to be lab grown. They're now producing lab grown blood for hospitals and NHS use. He's just brought out a new lab produced milk made from maggots. That is what it is actually made from. So a lot of the Muslim and the Jewish communities are now actually starting to listen to us and say, well, we've either got to toe the line and have it slaughtered properly and give us a chance of still having some proper meat by 2050, or we continue supporting the people we're supporting now, potentially end up with none. So it is actually coming across to our favour at the minute on that one. So any more questions on that one at all? So we should have had another guy here with us today as well, called the Bowler Hat Farmer. I've never met him yet face to face, but he's on a lot of podcasts and that with me, and he's a big part of the Pro-Farmers group. He's actually touring the UK at the moment, and he is covering the whole of the UK, including Wales, on a talk system called Fork the System. He's trying to find out what people want food-wise, where we can get it, how it can be achieved. I've actually had a phone call from a minister asking me that as a government, what have we got to do to stop you lot supplying food direct to the public? This is a big thing what we've took on. So when the London protest and that started with the farming after the IHT came in, Pro-Farmers was one of the big groups that set up these protests in London. We had the ports blocked all around the country. And we've actually now gone back to the government with a fight, because we're now producing farmers that's producing food and supplying direct to the public. They're missing the supermarkets out. Meat's getting delivered direct to door, vegetables, fruit and everything. As it used to be, yeah. And this particular minister rang me and he said, we cannot afford to lose all the supermarkets, not like we are doing. He said, what have we got to do to get you lot to stop supplying? Too late. That horse is well and truly bolted. We're nearly at the finish line while you're still in the starting blocks ready to go. You're way behind us. You will never catch us now. Now, en route on one of the tours, Mark's running to these two girls called Organity. So I'm going to hand over, girls, to what you do. I know what you do. But I'm going to hand over for you to introduce yourselves and just have a little chat with yourselves. The gentleman sat there in the yellow tie with the white shirt, that is our leader. That's Chris that I was going to get you to talk to. He's the one that had the foresight to set up this committee. And if it wasn't for Chris's foresight, this meeting wouldn't be happening now, because we wouldn't be here. So, over to you, girls.
So this stays down. Okay. Okay, I'm not very good at doing the slides and talking at the same time, so Lou's just going to flick them through as I speak. But we started this almost 2 years ago, Louise and I. We felt that something very wrong was happening in the world, and it was people had lost humanity, kindness and consideration, and also communities where they didn't exist. And community, the word community is used so often now, it sort of diminishes the name, to be honest with you, but it's basically groups of people coming together, and that's something that we felt very strongly about. But we thought, how do we get people to come together? They have to have something from it. You can't just come along for a cup of tea. You know, there's enough cup of teas and you've had enough. So we thought we wanted to set up something where we could start eating really healthily, because obviously we've been through a pretty awful scare with the pandemic, so we wanted to make sure that we were at optimal health. We wanted to support the farmers because we were very, very much aware of what was going on with the farmers and how they're not getting the right deal. You know, they're working very, very hard. We're working on a farm now, so we've seen firsthand just how hard they work, the hours, the time, they never go to bed. And they're working so hard because they don't get paid what they should. So we felt that we wanted to support the farmers. We also wanted to support the small businesses, because through obviously the pandemic, a lot of small businesses had to shut down or barely existed. So that was something we felt very strongly about. So we thought, right, we'll set this up for just a few friends and family. It was just like a little cottage industry where we started getting organic or chemical-free food, and the more it took off, I think we had about 16 people to start with, and then we're now doing 200 plus families. So what we do is we basically provide an online shop for people to be able to order their produce, and then we make an order in direct to farms. As many farms as we can support, we do. And then we support the smaller businesses. So all of the items that we stock are seed oil free, all good chemical free products and produce that people trust and rely on with us. So we do our due diligence and make sure that everything is the right for the people to have. So they don't have to check labels. You go into a supermarket, you pick up one tin and you've got about 50 things on one tin. It should be just 1 or 2 items in there. So we do all of that hard work so they don't have to. But the magic happens when they place their order. It's the cycle day and they come to us to collect. And that's when the community comes together. And that is the bit where we hope that the councils will listen and hear what we've got to say. Because we want a place where every region, I mean, it's very ambitious of us, but we would like to be able to get to every region if we can and create this magic for everybody, because you're missing out on something pretty wonderful. And people come and they have a cup of tea, just sit and chat about life, about things that have happened, anything, just literally anything. And the more that come along to collect, the more people congregate. And that is something that has been really, really missing in the last 5 years, or probably many, many years before, but we didn't really realise it until we'd gone through what we'd gone through. So this is something that we feel very, very strongly about. Yes, the food is really important. Yes, supporting the farmers is even more important, and the small businesses. But more than all of that for us, it was about the connecting with humans again and having that compassion and being there for each other. So with this, what we do, I don't know if you can see many things, but just how we started, where we branch out to now. So it was just, as I say, it was just a real little tiny little cottage industry from my garage, and we would work one day every 2 weeks. Now we're doing a weekly shop for people. We've just managed to acquire a very small space on a farm, why he's building us a farm shop. So it shows you that this is possible for anybody to do, to support the right people and to get the people together. So At the moment, we're not drawing a wage, Lou and I. We haven't done for a year and a half, but we don't. There is profit and there's money to be made. But we want to put the money into the business to create more and more items for people to be able to buy, so that it removes them not so much from the supermarket, but more towards what they feel important, supporting the farmers and the small businesses and eating well. Because there's a very small section in the supermarkets for chemical-free food, and that's the problem people have. They want to come away from all of the sprays, the GMOs, all the toxicity that's going into their bodies. And obviously, as I say, having been through such awful times, we want to be at optimal health. So we've been doing so well that we're now doing weekly, as I say, and we also have a delivery driver for the people that are just that little bit further afield but want the quality food. So although we are very much pushing the community side of it and come and collect, they do when they can, and when they can't, they opt for a delivery. And we go to many, many areas now. That's some of the people that we look after. But yeah, South Buckinghamshire, trust me, is a huge area. And we have probably about 10 different areas within that sphere that we go out to. So it's a really long day for our drivers. But it's really important that we be able to reach everybody that we can. Have I missed anything? What's next, Lynn? So what it can do for people, how it can affect everybody, it can affect helping farmers, helping people, helping families, going back to our roots. Another thing that it's done for our families in particular, Lou's got 3 children, I've got 4, and it's allowed us to go back into the kitchen together and cook, which is lovely, so you get that family time again. We haven't felt the inspiration with the other food. I know it sounds crazy, but there hasn't been inspiration. You look at the boxes that we provide for people, and it comes alive, and it's packed with love because we really, really care about the people we pack for. And I just think that if we could get it to other areas, how amazing it would be and what they would get from it. The loneliness would be no more. People would actually feel that they're being heard. It's a place they can just come and have a cup of tea. They don't even have to order to start with. They can see what it's all about, see what this is, what we're about, where it's coming from, the heart, and get involved in any way they see fit. It's just a really lovely thing. I can't explain it. We've got actually a book in my bag which I've left over there, but we've got some amazing messages that we ask the community to write for our meeting today, just so you don't just hear our words, you hear what they've got to say and how important it is for them and what this means to them to have an organicity in their area. And we've had so many people come to us to say, can you reach out, can you come to our area, we don't even get this, we've got no farms near us, so we haven't got this, and we really need this food, we really need this connection. And we have to say, well, we haven't got that in your area at the moment, but we really want to get to you. We'll put you in our database. And I don't like saying that. I want to be able to get to as many people as possible so they have this. So that's really where we're at.
I knew there's going to be a few questions fire up, and I'm going to jump the queue and cheat a minute there. So, Mr. Leader, if we had such a thing as a village hall, into sleep. Please not. If we had such a thing as a village hall in Fenland, do you think there's a lot of mileage in that for this area? And the reason I'm asking that, I know obviously you've got to go to the meetings, so I think we can put a programme together for that for sure. But it's just any village hall in Fenland, get people to order the food online, go and collect it, and get that community back together.
I reckon it's a lot of public advertising. If you can get the two together, you've got something going.
I've been on the producing side for the last 6 weeks, Mr. Leader, so we are well and truly on that. But the bowler hat farmer, every 2 or 3 nights, he's doing a different area on his tour. He's still stuck in Somerset. And there's a minimum of 150 people in the room every night with their hands in the air saying, yes, we want chemical-free food. So just to reiterate how simple this is people order it online from that. And Lou, they ship it all out. It's delivered to a certain area. They go to that area, they collect the shopping and have a chin wag in the community day while they're at it. Councillor French, go on.
Thank you. loads of questions. First off, you say that you don't take a salary. How is this funded? Because obviously you've got drivers.
Yeah.
So how are you initially funding this?
Well, obviously, there's a very small percentage that we place on all of the items that we sell in order for us to pay for all of the outgoings. And there is money after that. So then we use that to buy more stock and to pay for it. There is a delivery fee that people pay. So that goes to the driver. So that's just a fee. We don't see that. It goes straight to our driver.
Oh, sorry. I will sound a bit like Dragon's Den. Several questions I'm going to fire you. Obviously, one that Councillor French has covered, because I couldn't understand how you were surviving without any income whatsoever. So that's ticked off my list. I don't disagree with helping families, helping farmers. I don't disagree with chemical-free food. I think we'll all applaud that. These are the questions I have. You have food banks, number one. You'll also be competing. In most areas, they've got a unit where the excess food. So the food banks are done on family credits, etc., as we all know. And the additional units are surplus food. We've got one in Whittlesea. From supermarkets. It's free. And when you have people that are economically stretched, then obviously their option, as much as they would like to eat healthy, then that's going to be an option, and that would be used. Obviously, you're saying online deliveries. Again, that takes time to set up websites, social media, but I was interested, where is your base at the moment?
Okay, our base is in Chalfont St Giles, so that's where we are at the moment. Yeah. So just to go back to what you've just said with the food banks, we actually get to know our community very, very well. And we've set up on our website a donation, which they can pay anything from £1 to however much they want to pay. And it's not compulsory. They do it when as if they want. And that money is sitting there waiting for one of the community members to say, we've fallen on hard times. We can't afford to feed our family. Can you get a box together for us? But another thing that we do is we have many people in the community that we also know that can't afford it. And we always have overs, always. So that food, we create a box and we have it sent to them on the van, always. That's something we do. That's the thing, we really do care about the community. And a lot of the people in our area, yes, it's quite an affluent area where we live, so we have very two-tier, okay? It is, but there is a side that isn't so within our area. Trust me, there is. And these are the people that have either gone through autoimmune problems or they are on benefits. You know, it's difficult for them. So they look at their life and look where they can cut corners so that they can afford to do this. But with us, because we started it because we wanted to be able to have people afford to eat this food. Because organic food and chemical-free food is not cheap, because you're paying for something that is rid of all this nasties, okay? So that's money. But by us setting this up, we were very lucky that we started as just a group of friends, so we didn't actually have a business. We had to create a business to get wholesale accounts. So that enables us to get the food a lot cheaper so that these people can eat well for lesser price. We are compatible with the supermarkets. Yeah.
If I may, a couple of things. We already have farm shops, and we have quite a few around this area. I use two in particular that are quite near me. They're not exactly the cheapest, but they run with competition to the supermarkets, so it's my choice that I can afford to go there. But the other point is that I'd like to say, you've also got farms where you pick your own. Now, I personally, you haven't got it up there, come from Sussex. It is a wealth and glut of fruit, strawberries and soft fruit, certain seasons. It's pick your own, and towards the end of the season, it's free. So we've got to look at that. I know of several pick your own farms. I'm sure the chairman does as well. that's another outlet, and it's not expensive because there is a glut of certain produce at certain times. Now you're coming up from Chelford, so you're using fuel, okay? So how many trips and how many vans are you doing per day, per week?
Currently, we run 2 cycles a week. So
Okay.
we do a Wednesday and a Thursday. And we've got 2 van drivers on a Wednesday and 1 on a Thursday because we're building up. We're we're in the infancy stages of this business. So yes, I hear what you're saying. Food, people want free food, but I understand that completely, and I'm fortunate not to be in a position that I need free food. But I have been there, and I do understand what that means. But I also understand that the farmers need payment. They can't give things away for free. Life isn't free. But we need to be mindful of people that are in this position, and we are very mindful, aren't we? That's something we are extremely aware of, and that's why we set up the donation. We don't take a penny of that donation. It's not for us. It's for the community. We also get to know the community. Now, yes, you can go to a farm shop, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful, and you're supporting the farm shop, and it's independent, it's small. But what you're not creating is a community there. You're going there and you're shopping.
No, they do have cafes as well.
Okay, that's fine. But what I mean is, the people that congregate to collect their boxes, they congregate for that reason, and they will stay there and they'll sit there for some time, and they'll have, they'll talk about the world and life. And there's no time constraints. They can stay for a cup of tea, they can chat for as long as they like. That's something we have where we are, where people just stay with us. And the more time goes by, the more people feel comfortable in doing that. So yes, you have a farm shop, but you're also governed with time, when to leave and what to do. And on this farm, we have all the time in the world. We can stay from 8 in the morning to 8 at night or whatever. We're just community.
I would also add, I'm commenting, I'm not ripping you to pieces, but I have to understand where you're coming from because there is so much competition out there, trust me. And, if you're looking for basing yourself up here and you need funding for it, it's got to be viable. And as I say, at the moment, you have so many openings of free food. And I'm sorry, cost does come into it. And I'm talking in a volume. I know in Whittlesea how much free food is given away. Yeah. Also, you run the other thing, GDPR. You have families that won't necessarily put their hand up and say, we need help. The food bank has been good for that because it offers, obviously, an extension, and the people that go there, they are actually sort of told there is also this facility that's free food. People don't want to admit hardship, you know that. So I'm just wondering how your intel, how you're going to create especially the donation side.
Okay, well, as I say, we get to know our community really, really well, Louise and I, and nobody would ever not feel that they can come to us because we don't give off that feeling that, we allow them to be able to come. And we also have the chats with them and say, are things okay, how's life? They have the opportunity, and we wouldn't discuss it in front of anybody. And we've actually sent out several emails and messages to all the people that shop with us, and we've said that we've set this up, and all you need to do is have a quiet word, or even over email. Even if you don't want to talk to us face to face, do it through email and let us know if you need help. And we have had that. We have had that, and they're very proud people. They're hard workers, but they will ask us and we will be there for them because that's what we do. And we always, as I say, we have overs. So if we've got an elderly lady who's 98 and lives probably about half an hour from us, she's not actually part of our community, but she's a part of somebody that is in our community. And she can't get out to the shops. She finds it very difficult, but she wants to eat well. And she's someone that we take care of every cycle. There's quite a few on our list that we make sure we look after. That's something we pride ourselves in.
So you would have that volume to give away?
It depends what volume you mean. For a selected few, yeah, a selected few.
Right, I'll come to you in a minute. I'm just going to come in. So don't forget, these guys aren't looking at being a food bank. This system is being set up to assist the farmers, assist the community and assist the people to actually be a competitor to the supermarkets, to give the public an extra option of somewhere else to go and get chemical-free, fresh chemical-free. Because if it's from a supermarket, it's still been sat in 3 or 4 weeks possibly, all over the place in cold store. This hasn't. So it's going direct to the end user. It's farm, packers, end user straight away. If there's any excess, then look at giving it away if you want. But it's not for a food bank situation. The people that need food banks, my heart goes out to them. People that use supermarkets, that's up to them. There's plenty of other options are better, but if they choose to go to the supermarket for the simplistic way of life, fine. But don't complain what you're eating if that's the option what you've chosen.
Please don't think I'm attacking these people, but I live in the real world and I know what's out there. And there is a vast amount of competition, which is farm shops already established, free food from overspill of food banks. Obviously, the food banks themselves. There's the pick your own facility as well. So I'm just saying there are other options, and I'm open to any new business. I really am, but it's just being mindful of obviously how we would support it. Where the business would be located, the transportation. Obviously, we've got to think of that because we do have quite a few councillors that are concerned with climate change, and obviously the vehicles that are used and the journeys. And we look at that when we come into planning, even in this chamber. So it's just putting those things forward and questioning it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really refreshing to hear that there are organisations, people out there that are willing to look at the cleaner alternative of food. It's really refreshing. I have 2 questions, if that's okay. The first one, just out of curiosity, you mentioned you've been going for 2 years and it's in its infancy stages. Have you experienced any challenges so far? And if so, how have you adapted to those challenges?
Well, we did have a challenge that we'd outgrown my garage, so that was a good thing. It was difficult at the time because we had to find somewhere to be that would be good enough for what we needed and clean, and the location where we are being on the farm was the perfect fit. The farmer that we are on the farm with, he's seen what we do. He was very sceptical, I have to say, when we first got there. He wasn't interested in our business whatsoever. All he cared about was we pay on time, his rent, and that's it. He wasn't interested in anything else. And as the weeks have gone by and he's met the community, because obviously, as I say, they come down, it's a big deal, he is very impressed, let's say the least, and he now wants to be able to help us. So he runs a commercial dairy farm on his site. So he gets the milk all the way from Shropshire, and it gets brought down to him, where he has a huge, great big fridge containers, massive, probably double the size of this room, and it's completely full of milk. And he has about 50 delivery vans. They go off every morning and they're back by 12 o'clock. He said he would like to help us, and I don't believe he wants anything for it. I believe he is just very in awe of what we're doing because he's seen how hard we work and there's heart. It's nothing else for me, it's just heart. Trust me, I know it doesn't seem like there are many people out there that have that in them, but that's what we're trying to get again. And he said that we could actually utilise his van with the drivers to go across, maybe even put it in the van with the milks and deliver it to the areas that we have the same on his map. So that would be really good moving forward. That's a really good option for us.
So that's the only challenge really, was just outgrowing. That's really good.
And hard work, I think. Yeah. Sometimes we're really tired, it's been a really long day. You get a few things, we're human, we make human errors sometimes and pack the wrong thing or don't pack something, but we always make sure everything. So they're the only challenges we've had, to be honest.
And my next question, you mentioned about online orders. In Finland, we have quite a lot of digital exclusion. Is that the only way to order produce. Also with advertising and getting the word out there, we like I said, we do have quite huge pockets of digital exclusion. I'm just wondering how you would cater for the residents that aren't online.
So they can phone us, we can create an order for them, or they can send an email in, we can do that for them as well. Obviously they can't send an email, but they can probably pick up the phone, and I'm not very good with the computer anyway. We have somebody, Stu, on the last slide you'll see, he does the website. So the website could tie in quite nicely with many different regions. We've set it up so that we can get as many people using it that they click on their area and they can order from there. So that means that we can bring in local farmers' produce to that particular area.
Thank you. I have just thought of another quick question, if I may, please. Thank you. And is it quite simplistic for farmers to, so obviously thinking of the, not necessarily the service users, but the providers, is it quite a simplistic process for the farmers to link in with you guys? Is that a simplistic process for them too?
Yes, it is. And that's something we find very important. We want the connections with the farmers. We want to know we know all our suppliers personally. We've either been on the farms to see how they do things and build that relationship. And it's really important to us that they know what business we're in, so that they're happy to be involved in what we're in. And we know exactly what they do, and we can say to the people that buy from us, yeah, this is pasture fed, this is what it is. So yes, it's easy for the farmers. We just need to have the conversations, and they need to be happy with pricing and the amounts. And as long as they are, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you very much.
So I'm just going to reiterate on that question you had then a minute, Lucy, that I know several farmers that are now working with you guys. Thank you, Mr. Leader. And they are absolutely over the moon with the simplicity of it. And I actually had a farmer ring me 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he actually said to me, Tim, he said, I think these girls are taking the mick. So what's wrong? He said, they're actually asking me how much I want for this produce. So why do you think that's taking the mick? He said, well, it's unheard of. We normally get told what we're going to get, and that's it. He said, I had to sit there for 2 hours, scratching my head. He said, working out how much it was actually worth and know what to sell it for. So that is the attitude what's coming across now from the farmers, is that some of them are on the back foot going, well, how much is that actually worth to us? Because we know what we normally get and we're losing money, so, and they've got to sit down and work it out. So the farmers are actually really on board with these guys at the minute of the way that is actually working. So have we got any more questions? I don't know, because there's a lot that's potentially signing up. Am I far off at the minute now? If I said ballpark, you're around 35, 40 farmers direct with you at the moment. No. No, it's at the moment. I've not advertised it in Cambridgeshire a lot yet until today's come about, and so there's not many people actually know that these guys exist in Cambridgeshire yet.
Right. Obviously, we saw 3 beautiful people up on that screen. How are you going to manage? How's your staffing going to manage? Because obviously, as much as I feel you're very capable, and you've obviously put your heart and soul into this, there's only so many hours for you in a day. So, if this business grows, can you afford to pay people? Are you looking for volunteers? Right. Okay. So you're looking for both?
We have volunteers at the moment, and they love to join us. Like, they actually ask if they can come and help, because it is a community thing. They have lunch with us, they sit and have tea, they spend the whole day with us, and they ask to come back. That's because it gives them a purpose, and that's what we want to create here as well.
Yeah. Also, you've covered it, the farmers connection, that's what I wanted to know. I was interested also in the fact that you are at the moment actually on a dairy farm, but it doesn't sound like a dairy farm that produces dairy food. Right, so explain to me, dairy farm, do they bring milk in just to deliver out? So there are no cheese makers or anything like that.
We've got different cheese makers. We have quite a few cheese makers. We don't.
Still classifies themselves
We
as a
actually
dairy
get our
farmer.
milk from them. Funny enough,
It's brought in from shops.
Shropshire organic milk. Yeah, they
So
do
again,
both.
that's journeys. You're coming from Shropshire to Buckinghamshire.
I'm not. The
No,
farmer
he
does.
is.
That's his business.
He is.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
okay, I know.
Yeah. I don't
You
have to
would-
go anywhere. It's literally a walk away, a step away from our door. The milk.
Just getting my head round. Please don't think I think this is a bad idea. I don't. But I'm looking at the business perspective. I'm looking at the travel costs. I'm looking at fuel. Obviously, you will have to employ certain people eventually. And I'm just wondering how this is all going to come together.
Well, it's come together for us where we are,
But
and
you're
I
in
can
a small-
understand. I
yeah.
can understand your questions. As I say, Buckinghamshire is a vast area. There's loads of parts to it. We've got Aylesbury, Wendover, we've got Chalfont, we've got Amersham, we've got Beaconsfield, Gerrards Cross, Chesham. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And we deliver out to all of those areas. And as I say, the affluency ranges from up to completely down. It's a vast difference in the people. And what was the question? Sorry.
You've lost the plot now, haven't you?
Gone on
I was just
tangent.
I was trying to see how it all came together when you're pulling in from different areas. And
So hopefully, with the use of his vans, he's doing the drive anyway. So what harm is it putting on a few veg boxes? Okay,
right, so it's
that's
not
one thing.
additional.
No, it's not additional. And yeah, where we're going to at the moment is local-ish. So again, it's okay. But I understand this need for keeping things local and doing things, but we're trying to get out there and create something in all places. And we have the means to do it because it's been working for us. And yes, it would be wonderful if we had a place here or a place there, wherever it may be, and we bring in that community and get to know those people. And they might say what our people say. Do you know what? We really love this. It's a bit like art therapy. When you get doing something, you forget all the worries in the world and you're actually concentrating on something for long enough, you forget your worries. And I think that's what this has done for people. So we actually had, when we started, we actually had a little rota list. And we'd say who'd come along, and we'd get so many. We did the list because we thought, oh my goodness, I can't keep up with this. Okay, so and so can come this day, the next can come the next week, and they love doing it. The only problem is we found that there were a few little mistakes, but we've solved that now because we have a box checker. So once we pack boxes, they'll do a box check, and then it goes off, goes out. But that's if the community are helping. Obviously, if Lou and I are doing it we have one girl that we employ. And so she's full-time now with us. So we're okay at the moment, and we've got many people that want to help. We've got people in our community that want jobs, that want the business. And I think wherever we go in any region, I do believe we can create jobs for people. I really do. But I also think more importantly for us is just getting out there and getting people together, some way, shape or form.
There's a lot of organisations that bring people together. I can think of about 6 in my area. But this is what I'm trying to get at, is the fact of we want to bring our farmers in locally. That's the whole point. I don't think I'd be so supportive to bring farmers in from other areas. It's not that I don't decry farmers, don't get me wrong, but I think our priority has got to be to our own people first. And the other thing I was just going to throw in, where I come from, the village I come from is Sussex, we now have pubs being bought out, and they're bought by communities. So we've also got that opportunity, and there's a fundraiser just gone in for a previous pub at Turves, which is in our region, and I think they've got 45,000 at the moment, and I think there's about 3 other grants coming in, and that will have a shop. So again, you've got the farmers, because their ethos is going to be, we will actually approach local farmers and we want to sell their produce. So you've also got that competition as well.
We've actually got a new group. Where did we go last week? Remember the names? I keep forgetting the name. It was somewhere in Hackney. near
God,
there
Hackney.
anyway.
I know Hackney
Yeah.
very well as well.
Okay, and they are not in an affluent area where they're from. Okay, and when we went there to go and visit them, there were no shops at all. There was probably one independent coffee shop when we went on our route after getting off the train. We went. It was a vast walk, and there was nothing at all. And they said, "We have nothing here, and we are crying out for you." And they have just taken over a council property. I mean, it's taken over, but they've been allowed this council property. They were given a grant, and what they're doing is they're creating a cafe there, which is lovely. So it will include people to come in, entice them to come in, and they've got this perfect little area where they want our produce so that they can come in and buy. And they trust us because we've helped friends of theirs they know about. And as I say, this is all word of mouth and community. We haven't really done much advertising, that's why people don't really know of us, which is a nice thing because we're growing steady and slowly to build up to where we want to be. And then we can start employing people or having people help, whatever the case may be.
Well, Hackney's another region. Now, I knew it where you used to walk down the street in the late 60s, and Islington. Now, I mean, even Battersea Power Station they bought up and converted. It is terribly expensive to live in those areas. You've got the very rich and you've got the very poor. But again, with Hackney, I know there are community gardens there, and they grow their own produce. Now, I know it's not going to feed the 5,000, but there are incentives, and I know Islington and Hackney and those, shall we say, I would say areas of deprivation in certain areas, they are bringing communities together. So, as I say, I'm not decrying it, but there is so many people with big hearts that have, I mean, just in Whittlesey where I live, there are 4 different coffee mornings a week where residents are collected if they have mobility issues. People bake fresh cakes, and it is a social gathering. And luckily enough, they're done in churches and church halls, so there's no fees, there's no charge. So I'm just saying, I think your ideas are great, and I applaud that, and I applaud the fact that you're using farmers, very much so, because I come from the farming community. But it's also, be wary of what else is out there. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Chair.
So to show the simplicity of how this could work, obviously we've got young Reese sat behind you there, comes from Wisbech St Mary. Bought a property with his fiancée in November, got an orchard on it, haven't got a clue what they're doing, as in marketing the produce, never come across it before. One phone call to the girls, these 2 were together a day, more or less, all their produce is completely gone through the girls in one foul swoop. That's without me getting involved and sort of finding out other outlets about around them. And that's, through Pro Farmers Day, that is how we're working with the farmers of what, oh no, you're not.
All I'm trying to say, in that big wide world, all I'm trying to say is in that big wide world, there are so many people with big hearts, voluntary groups, farmers giving stuff away. You know, there's a huge also business operation. It's not just supermarkets and stuff, it's farm shops, you know that. But also these community hubs, as they're called. But no, that's all I'm doing. I'm just probing the questions, that's all.
Can I just say, and I think it's great that you're asking all these questions. Hopefully I'm answering them so you understand what I'm saying. But there are loads of different phones around. There's loads of different networks you can use, and they're all in competition with each other. I don't see it as competition. All we're trying to do is something that we are experiencing and we want others to experience too. I don't see it as competition. I don't see this. The supermarket's probably our biggest competition, and I don't look at it like that because we're a completely different concept, you know, and it's either it works or it doesn't. And I believe, personally, from what I've experienced, going from 16 people to over 200 families, we've got something right. And the farmers that we support and the suppliers that we support, they are absolutely wonderful people and they're all happy. We're all happy. It's a win-win situation. So whether it works for this area, who knows? I'd love it to work. I would love to be able to give what we've got here, and I think it'd be magic. And yeah, there's so many projects out there, there's so many different things, but to me, it's not a competition. I'm not up against them. I see that they'll have an experience they've never had, and that's the thing. When people come to us, they have an experience, and we get the same back from them, and it's a lovely thing. That's all.
Girls on to Reece and let them have a chat and. Anything else to add, girls? No? So that's Reece, that's the guy I was telling you about the orchard. Sorry. Oh, go on, Anna Lucy's got one. Go on.
Sorry, it is a real quick one, hopefully. Looking at the text up there, with your support, we can launch a thriving hub in Cambridgeshire. Cambridgeshire is quite a huge area, so am I correct in thinking that you're looking at a hub in Fenland, but you will be travelling and working with farmers across Cambridgeshire?
Absolutely. A bit like what we're doing now. We've got our hub where we are, and as we've got into it, we've branched out to many other different areas within. And yes, we'll welcome all farmers. But obviously, we have to do what's easy for us to start with. And once we get to know the area and get to know the farmers, then we can hopefully get them on board as well, which is what we really want to do.
Lovely, thank you. It was a quick answer.
I will put my 2 pence in. Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of comments, really. I fully admire and appreciate the community aspect of the projects that you've already set up, and would always support anything that supports our local farming community, which we're all here to support, and we all appreciate the work they do. You've built up a lovely hub where you are, obviously very much on the support and volunteer of yourselves to do so. Expansion is just a word of warning, I suppose. Expansion, once you start setting hubs up, as Councillor Lords has expressed, once you start expanding into other areas, financial planning and a good business plan to back up your community spirit is going to be absolutely crucial to make it a viable project because of the remote different areas that you hope to expand into. That's all.
I have a Stuart on our team. Did you see him in the picture? Yeah. Oh, okay. So he is the financial guy within all of this, and the three of us have worked hard together to work out how we're going to deliver all the things that we want to deliver. So sadly, he's not with us today. That would have answered some questions there, but we've sorted that part out. Obviously, there's going to be hiccups along the way. That's with everything. You learn by mistakes and you move on from it and you try and do better. If you don't make mistakes, you don't know. So you have to make mistakes to make it work really well. We've come up with a few little hiccups, but as I say, nothing too much that we couldn't overcome and get where we've got.
Right, we've now met Stuart. Stuart's background, financial, business? Right. Retired? That's the question I'm asking. Thank you, Chair.
Better put that on. So, agenda item number 9. Update members in respect of the Fenland agri-food business sector. So I shall now hand over to Simon Jackson for an update.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. So just wanted to briefly update and present this to members of this committee. So we've commissioned 2 reports into 2 important sectors in Fenland, which we're looking at agri-food here, but the other one is advanced engineering and manufacturing. One of the key reasons we've produced these reports, or had these reports produced for us by company Dayton Bell, local consultancy company, is that both of these sectors, whilst they're critical to Fenland, are also featured as 2 of the key sectors within what's called the local growth plan. And where that comes in, if you're not familiar with that, is that the combined authority with our significant and other authorities' input produce this local growth plan, which then gets submitted to government and becomes part of the industrial strategy. And what that basically triggers is money. So, it not only is an important sector and sectors for Fenland, but also there are potentially resource implications that sit behind this. So it's really important that we are seen to be on top of this sector and the manufacturing and engineering sector, and I'll explain how we're going to use these in a moment. The key thing to all of these reports, of course, is not that they sit on a desk or in a folder on your computer. It's actually what you do with them, and I'll say a little bit about that in a moment. You will all be getting, it's in draft form at the moment, you will all be getting a copy of the report, and I'll welcome any comments on the report when you get it. Interesting, in one of and it's written by the consultant, so it's not written by us, it's written by the consultant. One of the interesting things that you'll see in a moment is they identify organic, and very similar to the sort of thing you were talking about as an opportunity. So let's just quickly say that in terms of agri-food and the sector, this is the kind of definition of what they were looking at across Fenland, which you can all read and see there. So it's from food production through to processing, packaging, distribution, various supply chain, storage. So it's the whole picture. Interesting, there's also forestry on there, but I think that's just part of the general definition of agri-food. I'm not so sure there's so much of that going on in Fenland. In fact, I know there isn't. So you can see that that's just basically to say to you that what they're looking at is the whole supply chain, the whole picture. So I want to briefly look at some of the key findings, and what they've got here is your traditional strengths, challenges, and in a moment you'll see opportunities and threats. And I'm very happy, by the way, as we go through these next slides, if you think that perhaps, and this is an overview, but if you think there's something critical that has been missed off any of these lists, then please feel free to shout out now, or indeed, as I say, once the report is circulated to you, more than happy for you to engage with me and discuss some things that you'd like to see in there, or indeed like not to be in there. So, sort of opportunities, and in fact, there you go, organic, I think. I'm looking at the wrong thing, strengths. So, again, pretty standard list. Of course, it's very well, this type of activity and sector is very well established, and indeed is critical to the success of the Fenland economy. We all know that. Interesting comment they make about the opportunities with our neighbours that potentially can be leveraged. And indeed, potentially the sort of project you've just been talking about, bringing that collective together through the sort of thing that you've been talking about today. Some key challenges, again, I don't think there's probably anything in there that will necessarily come as a surprise. Infrastructure, and of course, issues around water as part of that infrastructure, and you'll see some more reference to infrastructure in a moment. So there's some of the key strengths and challenges. I mentioned opportunities, and indeed there is organic. Now I've got to the correct page. Specialty food markets and so on have been identified as opportunities within this sector. And then some key threats. Potential supply chain disruption. Again, it's not necessarily something that we immediately think about, but there is and has been potential to cause at this sector in Fenland issues when those supply chains are disrupted. And of course, you've got our standard item there of climate change. I knew that was in there just for you, Chair. So having looked at all of that, and I'm giving you the short, abridged version, of course. When they've looked at all of that, they've got some things which they're saying would be important to focus on, and indeed in the report actually gives some indication around actions that we could be taking forward. So you'll see there both technology and infrastructure that need to be focused on. Again, you'll see the terms there, productivity and efficiency. Now, that is important, of course, for anybody involved in the sector, but it's also very important for central government. You'll notice through the industrial strategy, productivity is mentioned significantly. The fact that the UK, suffers from an overall lack of productivity in many industries. So it's important that those sorts of things are important for the sector, but also, as I said, this is a document that we're going to use to lobby CPCA and then lobby government to attract resource to help us with these issues. And then infrastructure, again, you can read those there. Interesting, of course, broadband, because you'll see the technological advancement, AI-driven farming, again, put there for you, Chair, specifically. But again, if that is something that is to be progressed, then you definitely need access to broadband and indeed mobile broadband. I'm sure we all experience the fact that we can't continue with a voice call in certain areas, let alone have access to broadband. So it's something that, if that is something that we want to and can persuade others to help us with, then we're certainly going to need better access to broadband and mobile broadband specifically. And there are three other areas that they're suggesting we could and should be focusing on. So sustainability, workforce development, and then inward investment. So you see there again, you can read the list, but again, there's reference to, as we mentioned previously, water, which is an issue and an issue that isn't going away and does cause problems for the sector. So we need something around that. Workforce development, again, speaking with businesses, in this sector. And of course, you've got to remember that long list. It's not just farming. It's that long list that I put up at the start. There's certainly reported one of the key things when we say, what's holding you back? Can't get people, can't get the right people, struggle with, being able to upskill my existing workforce. And of course, that's fairly critical to any business. So workforce development, and then they're also suggesting the potential for inward investment, and I was particularly interested perhaps in international trade expansion, which of course for a number of businesses means exporting to Peterborough, not necessarily China. I'm not saying we're insular, but some businesses don't see beyond their immediate environment. So potential there for some work around expansion, and we do get and have had investment, not necessarily foreign, but certainly regional investment coming into the district, attracted by the sort of sector and the strength of the sector that's already here. So there are a number of things that they've suggested we focus on. As I say, when you see the report, you'll see that then moves on to a number of actions. And I just go back to the point, I think, really, that the key to it is that, we have these reports, we make use of them. One of the fundamental uses, and one of the reasons I'm here and others were here, is that we have to leverage as much as we possibly can out of things like CPCA, but others, to help us to support these critical sectors in Fenland. And I think that this just adds to that view that we're serious about supporting this sector, and we need to persuade others to get on board with us to increasingly support this sector. So that's a key thing about this report, because of course a lot of those things that you've seen that we should be focusing on aren't district council services or activities necessarily. So it's about how we persuade others to actually get on board with this, and others, by the way, will also receive the final version of this to say, look, we need your help on whether it's connecting Cambridgeshire on the broadband or whatever else it is, that we say, look, this is identified as really important to help us progress our sector, agri-food sector, and we can use this report to help us to do that. I'll stop there, Chair.
Have we got any questions, comments on this at all?
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much. I look forward to receiving the draft copy of the report. Just a quick one, looking at the focus on slide. Within that report, is there much talk of the how? So, for instance, workforce development, expanding vocational training, apprenticeships. Is there much information on the how we are going to, or how that's going to be achieved? Or is it just a case of that's what we want, we're not talking about the how?
There is a little bit of the how, but what the assumption is, and it's correct, is that we kind of know who to go to make the how happen. So in terms of skills, that's again a core area of business for the CPCA and indeed others. The Chamber of Commerce have the LSIP programme, so we know that. You know what with all of the, I'm sure you'll be aware, well, what you don't want necessarily for consultants to do is to have a look at your watch and tell you what time it is. So we kind of know those things, and you know, we don't need them to tell us. What we do need is if there are things that we're missing. So and my colleague before she left, Anne Wardle was instrumental in these reports, and we'll have had those conversations. So they kind of know what we already know. They don't need to tell us as such, and it's a working document.
Okay, thank you. That does explain that a bit more. But I guess if you've paid someone to tell you what you already know, kind of a bit oh, your doodah's on, your mic's on.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you say that.
Mic's on.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so yeah, with the report, if they're just kind of reporting on stuff that you already know, that kind of not invalidates the kind of report. It's kind of not a waste of money as such, but that you already know of that information is kind of not pointless. But if you already know, then yeah.
So sorry, maybe I didn't explain that very clearly. So what we've tried to avoid is having looking at our watch and telling us what time it is. We tried to avoid some of that, so they focused on things that their specialisms and expertise are in, that we don't necessarily know. What it isn't is, and therefore, you know, those people that we know, we think you should go to them because we know that. And this is, as I say, a working document for us to use internally, so that they know that. So we haven't paid for that as such. However, there's always going to be some element of telling us what we already know, because one of the things we will be doing as an internal working document is discussing this with our CPCA colleagues. So, you know, we do need a little bit of that. It's always a balance with these things.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Shouldn't put me on it. Hi, Simon. Thank you for your presentation. You know that. What I'm going to bring up is, obviously we all know about CPCA. I think many of us sit on it. The point is, you mention, obviously I know about the local plan growth, the communities. I've sat on that board as well. Who are the others?
So, from say a skills perspective, which is key. Beg your pardon. You've got other key players in this arena. So the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce won a very big contract 18 months ago, a year ago, all around skills and skills development. So they would need to be aware that, you know, we want them to be looking at and operating in this sector and bring that resource together. We've also got the college that we liaise with consistently. So again, you know, is speaking with them to say, this is what you currently do. Could we do more? We might need to do different things. You know, the chairman's favourite, AI in farming. That sort of, you know, what are the opportunities there? What are the training that is required? Could they be persuaded to, if they don't already, and they do a lot on AI already, we know, but is there something that we could persuade them to take on board? And indeed, and I don't know the answer to this, but we've got our own, we've got the Northwest Cambridge training facility at Chatteris. And again, through the college there, they get involved in AI. So it will be a question of picking who, because there are lots of people we could go to. The question is as always, is who are we most likely to get more bang for buck out of, and let's go and hit them with it and say, this is what we've got, this is what we need, this is what's been identified. If they're not already doing it, can we persuade them to actually, support them as a key sector?
Understand where you're coming from, Simon. Obviously, there's several colleges we can dip into. Yeah. I'm just wondering, agricultural college, for instance, whether you could expand and actually, where you have these students, that they get bursaries, because that's a valuable point. Education costs, and I know of one or two charities, that one on which I sit on, that we actually review bursaries, and it's good on the student CV as well in the future. So that's one avenue, obviously, to explore, and it's workforce development. It will come under that. The other point I'd like to raise, as with Lucy, obviously I wait to read this report, but it was just concerning because I know how much consultants can cost through planning. They can cost you an arm and a leg, and a lot of it is validation. We already know it. So is this, have you gone out to a consultant to actually validate probably 60% of what we know already, maybe 70%? And then is that going to be presented to the others and the CPCA?
Yep, so there is, as I said, I think previously, there is some, validation about what we already know. But for example, one of the things that they do in the report, which you'll see, is they also compare our area to 3 other locations, which I'm going to tell you, as soon as I just find them. Typical. So, they have looked at the Dutch polders, if I pronounce that correctly, and they say that this is a valuable comparative case study of the Fens due to the shared geography and agricultural context. They've compared us to, by the way, we haven't gone on the field trips to these places. I don't want members to. I don't want members to run away with the idea that, as part of, much as I pushed for it, no, these things haven't happened. Yeah, absolutely. There's no jolly here. Italy's Po region, P-O region, apparently one of Europe's most fertile regions, and Chile's Maipo Valley. So you'll see that. So absolutely, that's just one example in the report where, we would have not had any clue about, we might have known those places, but not have any clue about them. So again, they're looking at, so part of the added value this is what you're really getting at, is that they have experience of these locations. They've probably used them in other reports, frankly. But, we didn't know that, and they've used examples and exemplars from them as suggestions potentially for our agri-tech and reports. And I don't think there's nothing hidden, Councillor, about what this costs. So each report costs £5,000.
Yeah, consultants, if I was born in another era, I would come in.
You can only have one at a time.
Good old Jan's reminding us. The 2 important factors, and I think probably this committee would agree, is opening up the broadband. It's connectivity. Social media is very much out there. We use it, we all do, but we know there's huge gaps in the Fenland area. So that's one of the driving forces that needs to be addressed. And of course, it's quite well known. And also, the infrastructure, our highways. Stop laughing, Councillor French. But essential, again, it creates economic growth. And I'll slip it in here. Whittlesea is the only place without a bypass. No, I know. I've got every opportunity here. So the point is, you can use the A1 Peterborough, and then you get stuck. So the A605 is your only trump route. So those two areas concern me greatly when we start needing to talk for funding and approach. Thank you, Chair.
I think it's building on that. It's you know, and again, those are known things, aren't they? But what we're saying is we're adding ammunition to that argument. And you know, in my experience, you know, you can't do enough of that. Yes, you're only spending, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds on reports, etc. But you know, you do need things to be able to say, look, you know, even the experts are agreeing with us on this, that this is what we need to be doing. If we're serious as a region about, you know, progressing, improved productivity in agri-food, these are the key things that we're going to need to do. And I know they're not tomorrow, but you know, you need to keep hammering away at that, and indeed CPCA hammering away at central government.
Yeah, thank you. Simon, when is that report going to be available for us to see?
Apologies. We've got a couple of typos. Oh, I don't see why that won't be around with you, say, Monday or Tuesday next week.
I don't need it, do I? Thank you very much for that one, Simon. So I will now move on to agenda item 10, so NEOB. So we need to agree any future work committee agenda items. So has anybody any suggestions before I pipe up?
Only agenda items do we now, at this moment in time, need to put those forward to you? Because we might want to look at that report and review it and bring something forward.
I'm quite happy for that to happen, Councillor Laws, not a problem. The only thing that I would like to ask from the committee is that if you've any farmers in your locality, that A, please do let them know that we are here as a committee, that we are the only council in the country that's actually got a farming committee, and to actually just tell them that we have got these projects moving forward of selling their produce direct to public for them to alleviate grain merchants, feed merchants and everywhere else. Councillor French?
Thank you. Have we got a proposed date for the next meeting? Because the last time we met was October, which seems...
It's 3rd of November, the next one.
3rd of November,
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Could I come back in, Chair, and make a suggestion? Are you open to suggestions? Right. We have a network of people that Councillor French and myself particularly sit on called IDBs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's only 29 in Fenland, but we won't... Yeah, well, I can't... No, I sit on all 29 now, don't I? I forgot that. May I make a suggestion that this committee, okay, because the boards, at least 50%, maybe 60%, are made up of farmers. So could I suggest, Chairman, that you do or create something like an information? Do you know if Fenland farmers are here, rural, etc.? This is what our projects are, this is what we intend to do. Send it to all the chairmen of the IDBs and ask for them to distribute to their members. Important you say that. I think that may be a good advertisement to start with. Yeah?
Well, do we have any other comments?
3rd of November.
Monday.
Oh, I've got it down already.
Yeah, it was in the
It was in the thing.
advanced plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, look. 2:30 I've got down.
Yeah, that's right. So 3rd of November for the next meeting. And with there being no further items to discuss, then this marks the end of this meeting, and I declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.